Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story with Igdalia. We have Jojo Giannetti with us. Jojo, how are you doing today?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. How is your training camp going?
It's going really good. I'm really tired. I got my first week at AKA out the way. I've got four more, and the Russians get here, and I think the end of this week or the beginning of next week. So camp's going to level up even more. I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah. So you had mentioned before that you were cornering somebody?
Yes. So I actually cornered. I ended up cornering two people last night. So there was actually an independent fighter last night that needed a corner. So me and one of my teammates ended up cornering him. We got him the win.
Mhm.
Third round submission. It was so funny, it was this 18-year-old kid, and he said that he was doing Hell Week for his fraternity this week, and he left Hell Week to fight, and now he was going back to Hell Week. So we cornered him, he got the win, and then our boy Tony Andrade, he fought for the light heavyweight strap in the main event, and he got the second round submission. So it was a good night overall.
How did it feel?
Cornering independent, I don't mind as much, and it's not a knock on them. Like I don't know them.
Mhm.
So it's like I don't have that stress of like if they win or they lose. Like obviously I want them to win. I don't wish bad on them. Um, but cornering people that like I know, like teammates or friends, like I hate it. It's the worst. It's so stressful. I tell them all, I hate it every second of that. So you better appreciate me.
Now you have a fight coming up in January. Is there
Yes.
anything about this fight that concerns you?
No. I mean, he's a dangerous opponent, and I think that my last couple opponents have been that way. Like, I don't really think that anybody that I fought has had anything, like super
Mhm.
standoutish, that then, a couple specialists, but I train with guys that are better, even just as well-rounded fighters on a daily. Um, I think that Saul is a tough opponent. He's a vet in the sport, and I think that he's able to sneakily like capture a win on the cards against just about anybody. But I think as long as I respect that, I think that I have a perfect game plan for this fight.
And what about this particular opponent stands out for you?
For me, honestly, like, and this was kind of an unplanned thing in this last year, is I'm just starting to take out all these guys as I've been talking. You know what I mean? Like, Saul's been talking about me for a long time and would never fight me. Now he has the fight and he's talking about me again. So now I get to make him choke on his words. And, the last couple of guys I fought have had some stuff to say, and we made him pay for it.
So this is something that there's history as far as calling out this particular fight, because I was wondering about this matchup, like where did it come from?
Yeah, it was kind of out of left field for sure. It's one of those things where like, and I know people, they don't believe it when sometimes when a fighter says it, but like, we have a couple people do top 10 rankings in local MMA, and whether I'm the number one or top three or top five, whatever, like nobody else on that list will actually fight me. And so many guys say like, oh, this guy won't fight me, this guy won't fight me. Like I've put it out there, like just sign the contract, and then if I'm lying, like you'll find out. And nobody signs the contract, and that's why my last fight was at 170. I had to go up and win a 170 belt because nobody at 55 would fight me. Now I'm back in the same boat, and somebody with a respected name like Saul in the MMA game, and somebody that's been talking about me for so long and not fighting me, it was kind of just like two birds with one stone type of deal.
Yeah, I mean, when I started in this like the fight scene type thing, like, or started training jujitsu and stuff, like his name was out.
So like he for sure like he's been around a while, and it's funny because people like fighters all over the country know the name. Like you say Saul, I mean they're like, oh wait, I think I know that guy.
Mhm.
So it's a very big name in MMA, and if reputable wins aren't available to me, I'm not going to be able to fight the best guys around. Then I'm going to fight the biggest names that I can to show the UFC. I'll fight the biggest guy. I'll fight the best guy. I'll fight whatever guy. And it's tough because I know the UFC wants to see me make 155. I know they want to see me fight good guys, but it's one of those things where it's like I'll make 55 and I'll fight whoever they put in front of me, and then you just tell me if you approve or not after I get the win.
Mhm.
Because beggars can't be choosers, and like I said, I took this fight because he's been talking, and he's the only one that would take the fight. So I get to take two out at once.
How do you feel about having somebody who's been on basically a losing streak and you're fighting?
So it's like a weird thing because when I won the belt, I was actually on a two fight skid,
Mhm.
and even people then were like, he doesn't deserve to fight for it, da da da. But it's like, I lost to two guys that were the best in the country, and they were competitive fights.
Mhm.
And before that, nobody at Cage Titans was really beating me. And since then, nobody at Cage Titans has beaten me. So I've made the case in hindsight. Um, but Saul's can be kind of the same way. It's like it's one of those things. Like I said, he's dangerous. So could Saul come out and do his thing and get the win? I don't think it's likely, but it's MMA, and that's why we love the sport. Anything can happen, and that's why fights like these get made. Because let's put it this way: if Saul somehow was able to beat me and then won one or two more fights, and then even just retired, everybody would go, "Huh, I guess he did deserve that belt."
Mhm.
But if I beat him, the narrative is going to be, "See, he didn't deserve to be there anyways." You can't make everybody happy, and anything's possible in this sport. That's why we all love it. That's why we do it. That's why we watch it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I'm glad you pointed it out because it is what it is. People are always going to say something and people are always going to have their view and, their perspective. And the way I see it may not be the way you see it. At the end of the day, for me personally, if you are willing to sign the contract, if you are willing to get into the cage, then the person deserves respect.
100%. And me and Saul don't really see eye to eye, but the only reason that I get to fight on January 7th is because of Saul. So there is a minimal amount of respect where it's like he signed, he's going to get in the cage, he's going to make the weight, I'm going to make the weight, I'm going to get in the cage. So, we don't have to like each other, but there is a minimal amount of respect because it takes two to tango.
Yeah. And you know what I've also noticed is your energy. Your energy is completely different from like, I want to say like 2-3 years ago. The vibe you give is completely different. It's very calming. Instance like me, I'm like, oh, okay, like I can talk to him and I don't have to worry. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Not to be.
And that was a big thing that when I took that year off from competing, that was one of the bigger things that I kind of focused on. Everybody's like, oh, he's, some people are like, he's done, he's coming off 2 losses. Other people are like, he's got a lot of improvements to make in the gym, which was true. But there was a lot of improvements I had to make outside of the gym, mentally, lifestyle wise, who was in my life. The mental thing was just so big. I, and I didn't know, I told myself at first, I'm taking a year off from competing. I'll stay training, but competing, I'm taking a year off. And then the more I got into it, I was like, this might be a little longer than a year just because like I just didn't feel ready yet. And I started telling myself, I'm not going to take a fight until I know I'm ready mentally.
Mhm.
And and I at one point, I forget when it was. I know it was the end of 2020. So it was like right after I first said I'm taking time off. And I remember I was like, all right, I'm not going to fight for a while. And then one of my friends he's not even from Massachusetts, from across the country, he fought and he won, and it was kind of like sloppy, but he got the win, like good for him. But then like all these big pages and names and all this stuff like started reposting his win, and I was like, what the? I was like, I have so many more wins that are more like that look better against a better guy. What the hell? And I was kind of like pissed and jealous. And then I sat there and I was like, that's your friend. Why are you mad about that?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like I'm really not ready to fight again. Like I'm mad that my friend's getting attention and it's like success his way. I was like, yeah, I'm not ready. And I was like, so I prolonged that time off because when I felt that, I was like, yeah, I'm not in the right place mentally to fight yet.
Do you feel that the losses that you had like the biggest effect was your mindset?
I think so, 100%. I don't think that it was everything. Like there was definitely technical and physical things that I could have done better in the moment and in preparation. But I do think that mentally, if I had to do like a percentage, I'd say like 70, 75% was mental. And not even so much of just, not like, like I broke in the middle of the fight. Like I was in there to fight every bit, but just like I wasn't where I needed to be. Like I wasn't honed in mentally at all.
Yeah, and I bring it up because a lot of people they miss the importance of your mindset. They don't realize that a fighter, you guys deal with a lot inside and outside. You
Yes.
guys are balancing a lot. Not only are you dealing with
Hmm.
like promotions, and then you're dealing with your family, and then you're dealing with your day to day, and you're dealing with if you're working, you have to balance
Hmm.
everything. And usually it's like right before a fight happens, something happens in your life that alters your mindset. And it's just like, so you mean you could have been on point every single day, then boom, something happens. And that dictates a lot of how your fight is going to go, regardless of your physical and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Because if the mindset isn't completely there, that will affect the outcome. So it's not just about how strong you are and how technical you are. That does affect it. And people minimize,
Hmm.
because a lot of people think, for whatever reason, either that you guys didn't train enough or you guys didn't take it seriously enough. And it's just like, okay, on top of that, you guys have to deal with life and everything that comes with it. You guys are always trying to make weight. You guys are trying to, and making weight while dealing with stress is not fun. I try to cut
Yeah.
weight because I want to fit into an outfit and it don't work. Like, I mean, imagine, you know what I mean? To do what you guys do, it's not easy. And people look at a fighter and they think you guys are like superheroes and you guys shouldn't have any problems in life and you guys are just supposed to go in there and you're supposed to win and it's just like this video game and we're controlling you over here and you need to throw this kick and you need to duck, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like, it's great, but at the same time you guys are human and they kind of forget that. And by being human, there's that mindset that
Yeah, 100%. And like, I think that this year, especially, like my camps, like my fight camps overall have been great. There's been ups and downs, like every fighter has, but like I think that I've done for the most part, I've done very well with stress management outside of the cage, leading up to my fights. My first fight of the year, honestly, was like probably the worst. Like I said it when it happened, it was the worst fight camp I could have ever had, the worst preparation ever, and the only place was up. You know what I mean? Like almost exactly a year ago, like right after Christmas, I had to put one of my dogs down, and then 2 days later, I had to get in my bus and drive cross country, like with my other dog. So I had to leave my girlfriend and say, "Hey, I know you're sad about what happened 48 hours ago, but I'm going to take the other dog, and we got to go." And not easy, and it was tough for her, and it was tough for me, and it was tough for my animals. And
yeah.
getting out to California where everybody knows my dogs, and they're like, "Oh, where's Thor?" And I'm like, I put him down, and they're like, "Oh, when?" And I'm like, "2 days ago." And they're like, "What? Like, why are you here?" And I'm like, "I got a job to do. Like, I know what I got to do." And then I that fight camp, I got a really bad staph infection again, and then we ended up clearing it up. But then the steroids that I was on to help heal it, like made me hold water. I ended up missing weight for that fight. Like, and after that snowball effect of stuff just piling up, you start to think, you're like, is this a sign? Like now I already didn't want to fight. I already didn't want to go to California and train. Like, is this a sign that I shouldn't? Like, should I be pulling out of the fight? And then we made the fight happen, and it was one of those things where I was like, no, the fight's happening. You got a job to do. Like, what happened, and it sucks. Go do the job, and then you can go sit in a room and cry for 5-10 minutes, whatever you got to do. And that's what I did. Is I went into that fight, and I was like, whatever happens, we're getting our hand raised. Like, I don't care. And then after that fight, I remember, I forget who, but somebody messaged me and was like, I know that this was the worst camp you ever had, but now you know that you can go through the worst of the worst and still get the job done. And just know that going forward, you can do that. And it's like a superpower. Like, I know if everything falls apart, I can still get in that cage and get the job done.
You're able to do it, but it's because you've had years of preparation, and people want to jump into the cage and say, hey, I want to be a fighter. But in order to be a fighter,
Hmm.
you got to follow all these other things. And it's like, and are you willing? Because let me tell you, I am not going to be a fighter. I mean, the only thing I'm fighting, I'm not. I don't have it in me. I mean, I can fight and I can argue and stuff like that. But to get into a cage, that ain't happening. It does. Not everybody can be a fighter. And the problem is people minimize it because just these random people want to go into a cage and say, I'm a fighter. And
Hmm.
the thing is, and that's why I ask what makes a fighter, because for me, there's two types of fighters. There's the fighter who wants just to say that they're a fighter. And then there's the fighter who actually wants to go in there, put in the work, and actually win. Because a lot of people, it's not even
Yeah,
about the winning, it's just about saying, I'm a fighter. You know what I mean? Just the title of
100%.
a fighter, so there is
Yeah.
so much more behind being a fighter, all the sacrifices, all of the obstacles.
100%. But it's funny that you said that though, because like I almost feel like where I'm at in my career and training and all that stuff, like I'm the opposite. Where like fighting is hard, fight camp is hard, all the stuff I do is hard, and the fights and the sacrifices. But I feel like the stuff outside of the cage is even harder. Working whether it's a 9 to 5 or an overnight or just like a regular job, like whether it's blue collar, it's construction, it's whatever. For me, that's a harder fight. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm spoiled. Maybe I'm getting too used to the life. But like I just feel like I'm not built for that life, and that's why like after, like, before my last fight, when my last opponent was like, "Oh, I train full time. If he has to work, that's his problem." Da da da. That's why I was so angry about it, because like I don't think I'm built for the 9 to 5. Like I can't do it. Like when I work overnights, like I hate it. I dread every minute of it. I'm like, man, I would much rather be in a cage getting punched in the face. Like, and but that's why I respect those people that, people say to me all the time, like, I respect you for getting in the cage and fighting. And I'm like, yeah, but when I train, trust me, I train every day. I have to diet. I'm always on the clock. But like as far as the physical demanding work, it's 2 or 3 hours at a time, 2 or 3 times a day. Some of these people go out and work 12 to 15 hours a day, like physical labor. I couldn't do that. I know for a fact I couldn't do that. And I'm just not built for it. And I'm not afraid to say it. Like, I've got buddies that work like hard physical labor. I do physical labor, but not that hard. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not built for that grind, that life. Like I do it because I have to, but like the day that I can be self-sufficient in MMA and eventually open a gym and not have to work like an overnight or whatever, like I'll be so happy. So all the people that work, construction or even just at a grocery store or McDonald's, like the 9 to 5, like you hate your job, but you do it because you got to do it. That's a fight. Like that's a fighter. I respect the hell out of those people because I'm not built for that life.
I guess everything is a balance in life. Some people are meant to fight, and other people have a different style of fighting. Like
100%. I've had a few jobs where I physically am fighting the urge to quit, but I need the paycheck, so I'm there. And I know there's plenty of people that go through it, so that for sure is a fight.
What makes a fighter?
I mean, there's a lot of things. I think that's one of those questions that has like a bunch of answers because there's so many different types. There's so many formulas that come into it. You have a guy that's a freak athlete, that's a showman, that knows how to present himself, how to make a show. Almost like a guy like Michael Chandler, a guy that, I personally think he hasn't fought smart in his last few fights. I think he could be in title contention at any point and have a competitive fight with whoever is the champion at the time. But he doesn't. He goes out there, he fights the way the fans want him. He's a superhuman. He's a specimen. He's a freak athlete. And he puts on a show every time. Like, that's the type of fighter. The fans love him. The fans know him. But he might never be crowned the best of the best. Then you got other guys like Dustin Poirier, who's been in the game forever, who's been grinding his whole life, who, got that belt, who's still fighting the top guys, who fights, he'll fight the smart fight, he'll fight the dumb fight, but no matter what, he is coming to get the win. Sometimes I feel like Chandler's just going out there to put on a show, and then a guy like Poirier is grinding. He's been grinding his whole life, ups and downs, different weight classes. So that's like a whole different type of fighter. Mm-hmm. And then you've got guys like a guy like Islam Makhachev. He came over from Dagestan, grinding his whole entire life, did everything the right way, and just steamrolled everybody on his way up. And not like he didn't fight anybody good. He just trains that hard and got that good. He is steamrolling everybody. There's just so many things in the cage, outside of the cage that add up to it. I think the biggest thing that they all share, though, is just work ethic. I mean, if you're not working hard, you're not going to be a good fighter.
Nice. Before we conclude, is there anything else that you would like to share?
Guys, if you haven't gotten tickets, grab them. I got t-shirts at GiannettiMMA.com. I posted about this a couple times, and it kind of just came together really fast. Super, and like I don't want anybody to think this has been planned for a long time. It was super on the moment, and I made a hasty decision. Story of my life. But the proceeds for my upcoming fight t-shirts will be going towards, I don't even know how to say it, Movember. I'm going Movember. Basically, it's an organization that helps with men's mental health. They're the three biggest killer of men. It's men's mental health, it's testicular cancer, and there's another one. But the biggest focus for me was men's mental health. And the reason that I say I made a hasty decision to, put the proceeds towards that is because, I don't know if you knew, but the actor Jason David Frank that played the Green Power Ranger passed away. It came out that it was a suicide. And, I've seen, and me included, like I've seen all over the internet, like all the people that were devastated, especially because, like, for me, it hit me. One, I grew up on Power Rangers. Two, he was one of my favorite Power Rangers. And, like, as I got older, he was in like different seasons of Power Rangers as a different Power Ranger. So he got cooler and cooler as I got older. And then, I grew up to find out that he had a few MMA fights as I was getting into the sport. When TikTok blew up, he was on TikTok and I saw his videos. and he was always just such like a positive reinforcement for like not me but like the world. Like he was just all the videos he posted, all the things that he did, and he was just like he was going to children's hospitals, doing events, doing signings. I saw a video somebody posted after he passed. He was at a Comic-Con and he went outside and he was like, listen, if you go to any table today and somebody says that they're sick of signing your autographs and taking pictures, you should not be asking for their autograph. He goes, I do not care how tired I am. You guys are the reason I get to do this. I will take as many pictures and sign as many autographs as I have to. And then he took his own life. And like,
Yeah.
for me, it's like seeing somebody that positive, like knowing there was like, I don't know if there was nobody there for him, but there was nobody there in that moment when he needed them. Um, it sucks to
Mhm.
like see somebody you looked up to and like that he could have been the reason that somebody's still here. And
Mhm.
now he's gone and now they're questioning why they're still here.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where like it was a super quick decision. I literally, when it happened, I went on Google and I was like, what are the biggest men's mental health
Mhm.
organizations that I can donate to? And nothing that I have to go through hoops to like donate to. I want to go to your website and see like a donate here button. And I found it and I was like, boom, that's the one. So proceeds from my shirts will be going to that to help with men's mental health. Like I said, it wasn't like a super noble act. Don't be thinking that I've had this, planned forever, but it's just something that I wanted to do because if somebody did see Jason David Frank take his own life and started questioning, well, if he can't win the battle, why am I here? You can win the battle. Like, and I want them to know that. And I don't know how I can help them know that other than helping this organization. So that's something, that's probably the biggest thing that I want to get out.
Wow, that's powerful. That's amazing because that's the thing, nobody knows what the person is going through, what the struggle is. And that's why I always say who's in your corner, who's your support system,
Mm-hmm.
because it's so, 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 so very important. No matter what, we can't lose this fight. We want to keep fighting. We want to keep moving forward. We want to keep inspiring people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we can't give up. No matter how difficult things are, we can't give up. Just like when you're in the cage and it seems difficult,
Mm-hmm.
you don't give up 10 seconds before the bell rings, 2 seconds. You wait until that bell goes off and that's when,
Mm-hmm.
what happens. But yeah, that's very very noble of you because you didn't have to do it and it doesn't matter when you decided to do it. Obviously, it's something that's very important. And by you doing that, you're going to be helping other people seeing, wait, there is something more important. If he's able to do that for somebody that he looked up to, then maybe somebody out there will do it for me. So hopefully
And,
people.
and that's really, and that's really all I want because I don't know how else. Maybe there's other ways I can help, but as of right now, like I know for a fact that's one way I can help. So that's what I want to do.
And you've been helping for the past 2, 3 years because your journey and people have seen you from day one and they've seen the transformation that has happened. A lot of people don't know what it is that life is all about, like the struggle, everything, the physical part of it, the mental part of it. Like I say, there's so many parts to it, but you are a living testimony of the path. Things are difficult.
Mm-hmm.
At one moment you want to give up, you didn't give up, you took a break. And that's what people need to do. They need to take a break. They take a break, they
Mm-hmm.
recharge, and when they recharge, they get a better version of themselves. And you've proven that when you take a break, you get a better version of yourself. You are showing people, and you've
One
never given
hundred
up.
percent.
Yeah. So thank you so much for everything that you've done, that you continue to do. And you have any shout outs?
Everybody here, American Kickboxing Academy, Daniel Cormier's Wrestling Academy, everybody back home at BTT Taunton, um, Pear Tree Property Service, Two Fight Bros, Verita Construction. You guys are the best. These fight camps, and I said to all of them when they asked me to sponsor or to sponsor me, these fight camps are physically and financially not possible without that support. I made the bus. I had all these ideas about getting out here, and there's been adversity to get out here almost every single time since then. And these sponsors make it happen. So if you guys find their Instagrams, their Facebooks, and give them follows, if you need their services, hit them up. Let them know that I sent you because I want to help support them because I'm only here because of them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you, Iggy.